Hello my planty friends, Miss Plantaholic here. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for stopping by my channel. This is part 2 of my Hoya collection, and I hope you enjoyed the first part, which is outside my patio, and now I'm bringing you inside my home and show you my Hoya collections inside. So if you're interested, let's begin. We are now inside my home, and let me show you the rest of my Hoya collections inside. And you can see here I have 2 trailing Hoyas, and the very first one is this hinder rope, or I think it's also called a compacta variegata. And as you can see, it is very long and trailing, got a cluster of flowers. And I'll be inserting a video clip of, you know, when it bloomed, and it really smells amazing. It smells like dark chocolate, no kidding. So I am hoping that this one will bloom for me again during spring or summer. I'll do a little close-up here. So it's trailing all the way. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have this little guy that will be starting to trail. I'll be doing a separate video on how to care for Hoyas, and if you're interested, I actually did a video on how to make some Hoya cuttings thrive, and I'll put the link on the description box below. Now next to it is my Hoya Krimson Princess. This is also trailing. This one hasn't bloomed for me yet, but I've spotted a few peduncles here. Peduncles are where the flowers would bloom eventually, and this one right here, let me do a close-up. This one right here, see that little thing sticking out? That's called a peduncle, and that's where the flowers would bloom eventually. And I also found a couple peduncles, but right now it's kind of hard to find. But anyways, going back to this Hoya Krimson Princess, this one is really pretty. I love how the variegation on these leaves are. And I actually did this homemade trellis because some of the vines or the tendrils are getting longer, and I want to train them by climbing through that homemade trellis. I'll do a separate video on that one too, on how to make homemade trellis. And let me go show you. This one have lots of variegation. Look at how pretty those variegation are. And it has different variegation. I love this one. And this one is like a heart shape. Isn't that pretty? Even this other 2 ones right here. And I even have a pink leaf right here. Isn't that gorgeous? So some of them, before they even turned white, it will be pink at first. That's how they start first. So it's really pretty when, you know, when that stage happens. And let me show you the tendril. It's also pink. Isn't that gorgeous? And let me do a quick video on the rest of the foliage. Look at how pretty those foliage are. And on this side, I have the Hoya cuttings that I made a video on last time, a couple of weeks ago. And the very first one is my Hoya kerii, and that one has bloomed a lot for me. Not bloomed, but it actually gave me like 5 new leaves. When I got this, there was only like 4 or 5 leaves, and I even propagated 1 leaf, and that one's really doing great. And then next one is my Hoya australis, and this one have pretty variegation. Let me get it so you can see it closely. So this one right here, as you can see, have very pretty variegations. And if you notice, there's some pink foliage. That's when they start first. It's gonna be pink, and then eventually they'll turn into something like this. I love this one. This is hard to find, and I actually got this from a boutique nursery or a boutique shop in Santa Cruz, where I get hard to find plants. So that's my Hoya australis. And the one here in the pink pot is my Hoya Krimson Queen or tricolor. This one is also pretty. This one I got as a cutting and have sprouted so many leaves for me. When I got it, it was only like one stem literally, and it looks very delicate. I thought it's not gonna make it, but look at all the other foliage. Look at that pink foliage underneath that, and it has white foliage, which is very unique, and some of the leaves have variegation on it. Isn't that too pretty? And the next one is my hard to find Hoya obovata, and this one is also unique because usually ovovatas have round leaves, but this one have a heart shape. As you can see, it's very pretty. And look at that tiny one. This is the newest baby leaf that it has sprouted, and it looks like it has some new growth right there. So this one is also hard to find, and I got this at the same time when I got the Hoya australis Lisa, which is the variegated one right there. So that's really unique. And all those chopsticks that you see, I also put them because they're getting longer and starting to trail, and I don't want them drooping. So I just made the improvised like a trellis for them. Now let's go back to the rest of my Hoya collections. On this corner right here, I'll be showing you some of my other Hoyas. This one is my Hoya Chelsea. The foliage on this one is so unique. Look at how the foliage is. It kind of like has those imprints. Like when you touch it, it's very thick like a succulent, and it has those veination there. It's really cute and pretty. I love that one. That's my Hoya Chelsea, which is really hard to find, and I also got that at the same time with my other two hard to find Hoyas. Next to it is my newest Hoya that I got from a boutique nursery. This is also the same boutique nursery where I go to for hard to find plants, and this is the Hoya wayetii. And this one is also very unique because if you look closely at their foliage, it has those dark trimmings on the side. Let me do a close-up here so you can see it. It has those dark outlines on the foliage, and this one I read that it can also turn, the foliage can turn into like reddish tone if you put it in the sun. So I'll probably put this in the sun so it will have that effect. So that's my Hoya wayetii, which is, by the way, from the country where I was born and raised, the Philippines. Kamusta po kayo mga kabayan? Salamat po ulit sa pag-subaybay sa channel ko. And sana po nagugustuhan niyo po yung mga vlogs ko. And if you want to do a special shout out, just leave me a comment on the description box and I'll be happy to do a shout out for you guys. So I think I pretty much covered my Hoya collections. Oh, by the way, I forgot that I have one Hoya that I wasn't able to talk about, and that one is my Hoya Crinkle 8. I'll be putting in an insert on that one, and it kind of resembles this one, except that the shape is not heart shape, but they have the same feel. It has those variation, and I'll just put an insert on that one so you can see it. It's very cold outside and I don't want to go out just This is how many days after my window have bloomed, and so far the flowers are still looking good. And yes, there's still some smell on it, some fragrant dark chocolate scent smell. I have one Hoya here in my bedroom, and this is my Hoya australis, which is a native of Australia. That's why it's called australis. And this one is really trailing well. So if you notice, I put in a heart-shaped wire as a trellis for this one, because this one has a tendency to trail, and the vines or the tendrils are really long, so I decided to put it in a heart-shaped wire. If you're wondering how I did this heart-shaped wire, I'll do a separate video on that one, and it's fairly easy to make it. But let's go back to the foliage on the Hoya australis. It has very thick foliage like a succulent, and this one's fairly doing well. There's a lot of like baby leaves or sprouts that are coming out, like this one right here, and this one as well. Even on this other end right here, you see like a baby leaf sprout. Not a baby leaf, but something is a growth that's coming out. And on this one too, right there. That's it for today's vlog on my Hoya collection. I hope I was able to entertain you, and if you're planning on getting one and adding it to your collection, it's a very nice addition. They are easy to care for plants if you just give them the time that they need in order for them to do well. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and keep the plant love and keep on planting.